is a presentation of Sports South.
They are four athletes who changed the face of tennis, each with a different strength, each with a unique ability, and each one a legend. The athletic volleyer who was virtually unstoppable. The girl with the wicked backhand who became America's sweetheart. The hard-charging gamer who still plays with the heart of a kid. And the brash New Yorker whose fierce mouth matched his fierce game. Their rivalry spawned a new era. Hey, you want rock and roll tennis? These guys invented it. Georgia, for what should be an extraordinary evening. Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, Chris Evert, and Martina Navratilova playing tennis on the same court for the first time in history, and it should be a fun-filled evening. To talk about tonight's tennis, Tom Gorman, the U.S. Davis Cup captain for 8 years and the winningest U.S. Davis Cup captain in history. And Tom, we've got four great names here on the tennis court, and I'm excited to be a part of it. You as excited as I am?
Oh, I sure am, and we'll see later their records, and it's really hard to think you have to explain all their records, but they're the best ever.
Well, coming up, we'll have singles with Chris Evert taking on Martina. Then we'll have mixed doubles, and then the men will play two sets. Jimmy Connors taking on John McEnroe. And when you talk about the women, you're talking about a lot of money. Chris Evert, $8 million in winnings. Martina Navratilova, over $20 million. Martina just recently retired, but is she still enthused about the game?
I think she's enthused and in great shape. She probably could have gone a couple more years, but she's been out there a long time. I think that her record speaks for herself. Look at that, over nearly 1,500 career wins. She won at least one tour event per year for 21 consecutive years, as well as the career Grand Slam titles.
Well, Chris Evert has been retired since 1989. She's had a couple of children, and does she still have the fire to play some tennis?
Well, she does. She's going to start on the Women's Senior Tour this year, and again, she has such a great record. 125 match win streak on clay. She got the 18 Grand Slam titles, as well as reaching the semis or better at Wimbledon for 17 of 18 years.
When you talk about the men, John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors, probably the greatest rivalry in tennis history, maybe in sport history, and these two guys bring a lot to the table every time they meet, which has been a lot when you talk about the matches they've played throughout the world. Jimmy Connors, how's his fire? Has he still got it?
Well, they both have it, and Jimmy was always known as a guy that gave 100% every time he went on the court. I mean, his record's unbelievable. He's #1 on the ATP computer almost 5 years. He's the only man to win U.S. championships on 3 different surfaces and 109 career wins. John
McEnroe has come out and said that there's probably not many guys on the tour right now that could beat him. He seems to be excited about playing tennis, and especially against one of his rivalries in Jimmy Connors.
Well, he's still the best individual doubles player in the world, on the tour or off the tour. His record's, again, unbelievable. 16 Grand Slam singles and titles, doubles, 140 career singles and doubles titles, and he holds, of course, the Davis Cup win record.
Arguably the 4 greatest names in tennis history will perform tonight for you right here in the Omni. When we come back, we will have their introductions and much, much more, so stay with us on Sports South.
Martina Navratilova.
Welcome back to the Omni. Let's listen in on the introductions of the 4 greatest players to play tennis. Special to see the 4 greatest players to ever, I guess, grace a tennis court. Chris Evert, John McEnroe, Martina Navratilova, and Jimmy Connors. Now let's take a look and tell you how we're going to lead into, I guess, show you how we're going to score tonight. It'll be a little different than what you would normally expect. For those who followed World Team Tennis, this is something that you're probably familiar with. Games are scored by single points, not your 30, 40, deuce, whatnot. This will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first player to 5 points wins the game. The first player to 6 games wins that particular set. There's no advantage, no deuce in this, so the games will move along quite quickly, and 13-point tiebreaker if tied at 5 games. So the action will be fierce, and the competition will be fierce as well with this scoring system. World Team Tennis is an exciting sport to see. When we come back, we'll have some more, and we'll get to action, which is why we're all here. Stay with us. More to come on Sports South. 1895 U.S. Healthcare Super Showdown presented by Big B Drugs. Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova getting ready to play the first set of the evening. You talk about your Grand Slam titles, 18 apiece for these two. Martina will be first to serve to Chris Evert. Once again, World Team Tennis rules, so we'll be scoring this by points. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the first 1 to 5 wins that particular game. Tom, do you think they will be, I guess, taking it easy at first?
I think at first they will be. There's a lot of apprehension as far as Chrissy goes. This is the first match she's played in quite a while, but she's always in great shape, and so I think it'll take a game or two for her to get back into the competitive spirit.
The first unforced error of the evening. I have a feeling this thing will heat up as we go along.
Chrissy's been working out down in Boca Raton. Martina's always in great shape. She really took the women's game to an entirely new level. She was the first woman that really addressed weights in tennis. Conditioning, superb conditioning.
Martina Navratilova, born October 18th, 1956. When you talk about these two, you're talking about over $28 million won. I can't even fathom that kind of a money. $8 million for Chris Evert, who retired in 1989, and over 20 for Martina.
Two of the most recognizable athletes in the world. Probably much more recognizable in Europe than in the United States. That's the reason why they have the names on the back of their outfits. People can identify who they are. Martina also is a great serve and volley player, has built her game around that attack. Billie Jean started, and Martina's really finishing it off.
Good serve from Martina.
There's a serve right down the middle, and with that lefty that really swings away from Chrissy's two-hand, and that's the only problem with the two-handed shot. It restricts you. Now this is where we come into tiebreaker, where it's 3 points all, and Chrissy has a choice of which side to receive on. So she's trying to remember.
Is that my choice? My choice this side.
Against a lefty, should probably be over on that forehand court, because otherwise Martina could really swing her out wide, and of course Chrissy's going to go over there. Now it's cat and mouse, because Martina may choose to serve right up the middle, because most lefties will go out wide on this point. So it's a game of guesses.
Nice winner from Chris Evert. She gets the break. Evert leading 1-0 in women's singles. More to come when we return to the Omni in Atlanta. We are back. Chris Evert with a break early in the first set, serving to Martina Navratilova.
Now we see Chrissy style. She'll serve and stay back and keep the rally going side to side.
A little long.
Martina says it's a lot long.
303 events for Chris Evert in singles, 157 victories.
This will be the one area where Chrissy will have to find her timing again on the serve in any kind of pressure situation.
Nice drop shot from Martina. She still has the volley. There's no question that's going to be a big part of her game all night.
All night. She's got power and soft hands, so she can do it all. She comes in behind the second serve, drives it deep into Chrissy's forehand. She goes cross court and just dumps it over the net. Very close on that sideline.
15. 15-40.
The scoring here is World Team Tennis rules. The PA announcer is giving you the normal score that most people are used to, but the right way and the way we're going to be doing it is by numbers, as you see in the lower left-hand part of your screen. Right now, Chris Evert is trailing 1-3.
A
couple of early breaks.
Well, I think that Martina was a little nervous the first game, and then Chrissy got a little nervous in that second game in that she stopped moving her feet. You know, the greatness about Chris Evert was always moving all the time, getting her opponent going side to side, and Martina's greatness is her power and her strength and her attacking of the ball. Those are the two things to look for tonight.
Martina, 38 years old. 167 singles titles to her credit, the most.
It's a great two-handed backhand from Chrissy, right at the feet of Martina. A beautiful serve, great extension. It was right off her shoes.
Ruled a little long, but still quite an impressive forehand from Chrissy. Give it to her, she says. Come on, I'll give it to you.
There's the replay. It's hard to tell up here, that's for sure.
You're calling the ball, not me. Or you're calling the ball. You changed your mind?
Second serve for Martina.
First serve. Okay, second serve first, but I need two.
Martina wanting to know if Chris is now calling the lines. I'm sure Chris would do that, honestly.
Looked at her watch, thought it was a little late, that call.
They're playing two, I guess.
Second serve.
Second serve.
Nice back.
1-1 in the third game. Now, this is also a team effort, as we mentioned before. John McEnroe and Chris Evert are a team, while Martina and Jimmy Connors are a team in this. So there's not just the singles competition. This is going to be a team effort throughout the evening. So I wouldn't be surprised to see John and Jimmy come out here and kind of root these girls on. Nice winner from Chris Evert.
Well, I think Martina's kind of caught in between. Is she going to go 100%? Here she serves into Chrissy's forehand, but it really wasn't her best serve. And Chrissy's going to be able to handle some of her okay serves, some of her real hard serves. Chrissy might have a hard time.
These two have played so many matches, 80 matches total. Does it still take some time to get used to one another since they haven't played in a while?
No, they know each other's games backwards and forwards. I think that it's just a matter of Chrissy's not having played in competition for a few years. It is the one thing she's lacking right now. On that serve, you know, she let the ball play her where the Chrissy Evert vintage would have attacked the ball.
3-2, Martina up in game 3. Stop the string of breaks. Martina heads to the sideline. She leads 2 games to 1 over Chris Evert. More tennis on the way when we return. Navratilova leading Chris Evert 2 games to 1 in the first set of what's been an exciting evening already. Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe to play some singles later on, and of course we'll have some mixed doubles as well. Chris Evert serving to Martina in the near court. And Chris, she's done that a few times to Martina, I would say.
Well, she sure has, and Martina normally will make this overhead. I think her footwork is just not quite as good as it will be later on in the match, and she got caught up behind her.
Beautiful point from Chris Evert.
Well, Martina had this point won, and I don't think it was a complete miss hit, but it sure wasn't a very solid shot. It was just well placed.
$40.
3-0. Chris Evert on top, trying to tie the match, tie the set at 2 games apiece. Nice serve. Already in just 3 games or 4 games, we've seen the pace of play, not only the pace of play, but the pace of their ground strokes pick up as well.
Well, they're getting loosened up. You know, they played 80 times in 15 years. When you think of those numbers, it's just phenomenal. The first time Chrissy won, the last time they played, Martina won. And in between, I think Martina has about a 6 win advantage.
43-37, Martina leads in their head-to-head matches. 60 times these two have met for championships and tournaments. So there was a lot at stake every time they've played, and I'm sure that they'll get that kind of enthusiasm back as this set wears on.
And as their rivalry developed, so much respect grew out of it, because they were, you know, they didn't talk a lot to each other early on, but they got to know each other, completely different personalities from different parts of the world. And yet, towards the end, they became best of friends.
2-0 Martina. Tied 2 games apiece in the first set.
Oh, there's a great serve.
Martina broke Chris Evert's total victory record in 1991. Martina has nearly 1,500 career wins.
She leans in so well and gets so much great shoulder rotation, and that's really where you get a lot of power, as well as using those legs. There's another great serve that took Chrissy off the court.
Martina leads 3 games to 2 in the first set. We will be back in a moment.
I think our rivalry is the greatest rivalry in sports. Nobody had played each other that many times, no individuals, and at that level. I mean, we were, most of that time, it was in the finals of Grand Slams or regular tournaments. One of us was #1, the other one was #2, most of that time, which is just unprecedented. And looking back now, I appreciate it that much more, and I'm really proud of it. And, you know, Chris and I are really tied together, and it's nice, then you sort of resent it, and it's like, oh, you want to be an individual, but it will always be tied together, and the more I think about it, the more proud I am of that rivalry.
Tell you what, when you talk about competitors, those two were as good as it got.
For 15 years, they really took us through the game of tennis into the open era.
15.
Martina leading 3 games to 2 in the first set of the U.S. Healthcare Super Showdown presented by Big B Drugs. Chris Evert serving to Martina, who is in the far court. One of the most lethal shots I've seen in the game of tennis is when she's on the move approaching the net.
Well, she sets it up so well. You know, it was a great deep approach shot, and then that high backhand volley. Look at that strength of that hand through the ball. Wasn't much of a swing, but right at the point of contact, she really made it happen.
Just wide. Chris Evert in 1991 in a national poll was listed as the most widely known athlete in the world. That says something about where she took the game of tennis.
Game number
picks up a break. She now leads 4 games to 2 over Evert. Not a whole lot you can do, and Martina may look like she feels a little apologetic, but I doubt it.
Nah, deep down, it's a point. It's just like hitting the line. You hit the tape, same margin of error there.
Martina and Chris, 36 Grand Slam titles between them. 2 Australians, 7 French for Chris Evert, 3 Wimbledon, 6 U.S. Opens.
Well, she's really starting to pour it on now. I think she's picked up the pace a little bit. Martina has. Those serves are coming in a little crisper, a little more direction to them.
2-0 Martina leading. Once again, a great volley from Martina.
Chrissy wants to make the call on that one.
Well, Martina gave her that option earlier on in this match.
Let's take a closer look. Martina comes in, hits that inside-out backhand volley, and looks pretty close. What do you think?
I'm not going to touch that. There's an impressive serve. Obviously, Martina trying to put the heat on Chris. She now takes a 5 games to 2 lead. More to come when we return. Welcome back to the Omni. Once again, another great ovation for Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova. Navratilova leads 5 games to 2 in the first set of kind of a team tennis format tonight. Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe will be out to play a little later. Chris just trying to extend this set just a little bit further. She's serving to Navratilova in the near court. As you can see, Martina ran to the net quickly, but Chris Evert took her some time. But she finally got one down the line. Nice effort from Evert. Martina picks up that point. We're tied at 1 apiece. Just not enough. There were days when those would go over, however. She says, but yes, Chris, now she trails 1-2. First service. Martina was ranked #1 for a total of 382 weeks during her career. Quite an impressive number. Just a wee bit long. Two great champions. Evert staves off set point. That impressive showing. Two overheads. That was put down with some authority. 2-3, Evert trailing in this game. And this is game point. No deuce add in these World Team Tennis rules. Right away, Martina knew that was going to be just a touch long. Game point. Navratilova picks up the first set, beating Chris Evert 6-2. We'll be back with mixed doubles when we return to the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. First set, women's singles. Chris Evert, Martina Navratilova is over. Navratilova wins 6-2. And let's swing it down to Tom Gorman, who has both the champions on the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my opportunity to have a moment to talk to these great lady players, and let's give another great Atlanta applause for such a great moment. You know, Martina and Chris have played 80 matches in competitive tennis. Martina's won 43, Chrissy 37. And while I was up doing the TV, I had an opportunity. We went back all the graphics. And Martina, I just want to get your feeling what it was like being out there against Chrissy again.
Well, my heart was beating at the beginning. Number one, it's nerve-wracking to play in front of all these people when I haven't been playing that much tennis. But of course, I've played a lot more than Chris has. She hasn't played competitively for 5 years, so I can't imagine what she must have been feeling like. But it was just nice to know what's going to happen, you know, when you play. We've played each other so many times and know each other's games so well. But I was a wreck, and I just wish that we could play another set because we were just getting going, I think.
Chrissy, it can't be too difficult getting up for Martina, even though you haven't played her for a few years.
No, I mean, like Martina said, there's always that excitement when we play, and unfortunately, you know, I think that not playing in 5 years competitively, it's a lot different coming out and practicing and then, you know, playing a set. And, you know, this court, I think, is fast. And as soon as I saw those 4 serves go past me, I think in that 3rd or 4th game, I think I lost a little confidence because she really excels on this court, and she played very, very well.
Do you think you got the juices going? Are we going to see more of you on the senior tour?
Well, the senior tour, I don't think we're going to have 15,000 people watching us, so maybe I'll play a little better when, you know, a smaller crowd. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Legends Tour.
Well, great. Maybe we'll bring the tour to Atlanta. Dave, we'll come back to you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
2 great champions battling it out, maybe for one last time, maybe not. We just don't know. When we come back, it's mixed doubles. Jimmy Connors, Martina Navratilova taking on Chris Evert and Johnny Mack. Stay with us. A lot more to come. Welcome back to the Omni. It's the 1995 U.S. Healthcare Super Showdown presented by Big B Jugs. Coming up in just a moment, Chris Evert, John McEnroe taking on Martina Navratilova and Jimmy Connors in mixed doubles. They'll be playing a couple of sets, and then, of course, Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe will be going at it in singles for a couple of sets. So right now, as a team, John McEnroe and Chris Evert trailing 1-0. And for all you tennis fans out there, we will give you a little tennis tip. Tom Gorman, of course, a tennis guy in his own right as a former Davis Cup captain, will have this tennis tip for you. doubles coming up right now. A little presentation down on the floor, but it'll be an extraordinary event coming up in a moment. We've got two very well-known doubles players against two people that didn't exactly play a lot of doubles, and that is Jimmy Connors and Chris Evert. Chris Evert played in 303 singles events, but managed only 51 doubles events, although she won 7 championships. So, Tom, as we talk about this doubles, is it going to be kind of one person dominating one team more than the other simply because John's played a lot of doubles and Martina's played a lot of doubles?
Well, you have two of the greatest doubles players to ever play the game. Chrissy is a good doubles player. She just didn't play that often. Jimmy actually won a number of titles, and he was a very, very good doubles player. I had the good fortune of traveling with him the very first year he was on the tour in Europe, and we played doubles together. And he has such a great service return that he would set the net man up, so you just had a field day when you're up at net. So, you know, these players are all great players, singles and doubles.
McEnroe and Connors entering the Omni.
Jimmy Connors, Martina, versus
14,000 fans on their feet applauding. And John McEnroe, as always, getting the crowd pumped up. Is it more for him or more for the crowd at this point? What do you think's going through his mind?
Well, you know, when we were talking to John a couple days ago and told him the amount of people that were coming, he just couldn't believe it. He said, "Do they know we're playing?" You know, he was so funny. He said he was really pumped and excited. You know, one of the great moments in tennis history is here at the Omni in 1984 when the United States beat Argentina in a Davis Cup match, and John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors were on that team. And it has the largest attendance record of an indoor American Davis Cup record still to date. So these are good memories for John to be here at the Omni.
Speaking of Davis Cup, the U.S. picked up a win this weekend against France, moving on to the second round. They will be taking on Italy in March. Hopefully the U.S. can bring home a Davis Cup again. And the man next to me, Tom Gorman, is 8-time Davis Cup captain himself. This is going to be quite extraordinary. These four individuals have never been on the court at the same time anywhere before. This is an historical moment, to say the least, and it may be the last time, and I think the crowd's just now starting to realize what they're witnessing.
Well, the last time they were on a court on the same day was at the 1984 U.S. Open, and it's the year they coined the phrase Super Saturday. It was that incredible day where John Newcomb started off a senior match beating Stan Smith 7-6 in the third. That went over the limit, and then Yvonne Lendl came out, beat Pat Cash in 5 sets, and by now it's probably about 5:30. Chrissy and Martina have been waiting in the locker room all day to play the finals of the women's. They go 3 long sets. Martina wins, and John and Jimmy come out about 8 o'clock at night. John wins in 5 after midnight, and such as was called Super Saturday.
Jimmy Connors, 120 single and double titles. He holds the all-time streak at #1 on the ATP computer of 160 weeks. He's just one incredible tennis player, 42 years old, and still has a little fire in the belly to play some tennis.
Well, look at that racket he's using. It's a single-throated racket. When the graphite rackets came in, they went with the open throat and back to kind of the old look of the old wood racket. Yet I'm sure it has a lot of technology into that racket that Jimmy's using.
Better known for the, I guess it was the Wilson T2000, was that it, that he played so long with, kind of brought the metal rackets to the forefront in that era.
You know, and when they stopped making the racket, Jimmy was still playing with it, and people were sending their old rackets that they had in their closets to him in case he wanted to use them, because they lasted for quite a while, but they just weren't making them anymore, and he had developed his entire game and style around this T2000.
Well, as we mentioned, Jimmy Connors and Chris Evert, not a lot of doubles experience, but Chris Evert still thinks this is an incredible moment to be on the court with these 3 other individuals.
It'll be real exciting. I'm just trying not to be too much in awe Martina is the greatest woman doubles player that ever lived, and McEnroe is the greatest men's doubles player that's ever lived, and Jimmy certainly is the best player that ever lived. So, I mean, you know, it'll be a real special feeling. I have to admit, I'm probably going to feel like a fish out of water because doubles is not my forte. But you know, I just hope I can stay up there and hold my own and not get hit.
She puts it all in perspective. I think they're all four maybe in awe of the other three that are around them at this point, because when you think about it, this may be the last time that they all four can at this level come out and play and compete in front of this many people.
Well, it's a perfect venue to do it too. You know, Atlanta has the largest league competition in the United States. They have about 85,000 members in their Alta leagues. The USTA leagues are huge here, as well as over 100,000 people here this weekend at the Super Show. So it's a perfect place for the greatest night of tennis in Atlanta.
Martina, when you talk about Martina, you're talking about a woman that has seen all sides of the tennis. Mixed doubles, doubles, singles. Basically, she's done it all. She holds 165 doubles titles. She's won singles and double titles at 84 events. That is the most in history. And as you take a look at that career earnings, that is astonishing. Over $20 million. That's something, you know, people pay $1 to play the lottery. That doesn't even get them in the picture.
Well, you know, everybody, you start to take players like these for granted when they get into their 8th, 9th, 10th year. And then they keep doing it through their 15th year on the tour, and you say, this is really something special.
Well, the Jimmy Connors, Martina Navratilova team leads 6-2 in the team title race, you might say. Johnny Mac looking like he always. I kind of like it when the hair's out like that. Even though it's a little gray, I like it when he looks a little more aggressive like that.
He's got a rock and roll band. I was told he changed the name of it again last week. I'm not sure what the new name is, but he's always used the guitar as his escape away. You know, he's the artist of all the tennis players as far as his temperament and as far as his approach to the game. You know, he was like a surgeon out there when he was playing his best tennis. He just carved you up, where Jimmy would come right at you straight through. You know, Chrissy had this wonderful finesse, and Martina got you with her power and her strength. So we really have four distinct styles of champions out here.
When you talk about John McEnroe, somebody you spent a lot of time with, especially around Davis Cup time, what was it like? He's one of the rare athletes that really gets enthused and supports a Davis Cup like it's a Grand Slam event.
When we played a match against Czechoslovakia down in Fort Myers, Agassi was playing Karl Novacek, and it was the final match, and Agassi won the first set in the tiebreaker. Agassi won the second and third sets, 6-love, 6-love. John McEnroe was on his feet applauding Andre after every point for those final two sets. And, you know, that just shows there's his record, 54 wins, 9 losses in Davis Cup competition. When I was captain in '91, I did not choose him to play in the final in France. Pete Sampras played there, and it was a little too overwhelming for him at that time of his career. After I arrived, about 10 minutes I got home and I got this call from John McEnroe saying I should have been there. I said, well, let's play 92. You commit to play every match, you'll play every match. And sure enough, he did, and we won it in 92.
About ready to go now. John McEnroe to serve to Jimmy Connors as mixed doubles gets underway. Some authority right out of the gate for McEnroe.
Well, we've got 3 lefties out here, which is interesting because Connors and Navratilova are both lefties. You don't have the automatic lefty on the backhand side.
Called out. Navratilova, Connors. Early advantage, leading 1-0 in game 1.
You know, people get to see a different side of these players than they ever saw during those competitive years, too. You're going to see more smiles, more joking around, and yet, you know, they still have a little spirit in their little fire.
Great point.
Well, nobody's going to out-rally at the net John McEnroe. He has, by far, the best hands in the game. Here's a little rally. Chrissy hits the forehand volley. She gets caught, and Mac just touches it on the tape.
Roll for 95.
Well, this is where it's great, because that serve definitely looked long, and you got Jimmy down here at the one end yelling with the crowd. You got John exhorting the crowd. He's looking at the linesman.
If the ball hits me in the fly, is that still out?
He's looking for a little help. Maybe somebody in the crowd might be able to call that out. I'm sure he'll have a few takers on that.
Well, I believe this is Chrissy's son, Alexander.
Maybe Alexander will go call the line. There we go.
Alex's first point. And there's Andy, Chrissy's husband. Great downhill skier.
Game point for McEnroe and Evert. Long. Game. Chris Evert, John McEnroe. They lead 1-0 in the mixed doubles set.
Well, this is great for the personalities involved, because Jimmy and Martina have such great respect for each other, and John and Chrissy early on in the career weren't as friendly towards each other. I think they came to an understanding as to what their personalities were, and you can see, you know, how easy it is for them to get along with each other now.
As I look down the singles titles for John McEnroe, 77. It also, you know, his last one came in Chicago in 1991, and he really still says, though, that there are a lot of guys on the tour right now in the top 20 that he thinks he can beat day in, day out. Could he? Is that just something? Is that just the fire inside of him, or do you think he still has the game?
Go ahead.
Well, I think he still has a game to play some solid matches, but I don't think he can get through a whole tournament by winning a tournament. I think where he's still a very active player could be in doubles. You know, he stated that he should be playing doubles in Davis Cup. He thinks he's the best individual doubles player in the world. And, you know, if you go back as early as 1992, he certainly was then when he played for me on the Davis Cup team.
What's Mac been doing over the last couple of years? You stay in touch with him, I'm sure.
Well, he's still playing a number of exhibitions like this. He's also started interest in an art gallery in New York, as well as, you know, hanging out with his band.
Doesn't sound like a life that he kind of regrets, I would say. It seems enjoyable. Connor serving to Evert. Evert to near court.
John putting his hand up to his neck like I choke. Martina has a great reflex there. And just a little too much swing. That's not something you try to teach somebody. There's John's hanging out against Jimmy's wide serve.
Martina puts it in the net. Jimmy Connors has won 2 Grand Slam doubles titles, 1973 Wimbledon and 1975 U.S. Open with Ili Nastase.
Oh no!
Nice winner for Chris Evert.
Well, it's a great rally going here. I think Jimmy is playing around a little bit, dancing around a little bit, but Chrissy gets the angle on him right here. Martina called a let, and Jimmy kind of relaxed, and who knows what happened.
He caught
Oh, there's a classic John McEnroe pose.
Let. I heard a let on that casting jump.
He's wondering if there was a let again on that serve. Well, here's a target. I think Jimmy's going to go for it.
You win the game if he hits me, and we win the game if he doesn't. Is this better? Is this our?
Well, there was about 3 minutes in between serves. You know, at any league, you say, hey, play two.
break point for McEnroe and Evert. Evert and McEnroe take a 2-0 lead over the team of Navratilova and Jimmy Connors. Evert.
Well, you know, this will be interesting to see how Martina and Jimmy, you know, how serious they're going to get now. They've lost 2 in a row. You know, they get joking around a little bit, and then the seriousness comes in. There's always that fine line, because they're deep down.
The line is still out on the seniors tour. We should get the whole thing. Yeah.
Just not enough.
Well, this is the beauty of the team tennis format, because just as quickly as you lose that first set, all of a sudden now you're nearly even.
T1000?
In the big picture, Martina leading 6-4.
Jimmy always very light on his feet. Great pickup by Connors. That's a good lesson for a lot of club players to stay down low for those half volleys. When you think the point's over, just stay in there. Chrissy recognized it.
Nice winner from McEnroe.
The best volleyer in the game of tennis. No doubt about it, John McEnroe.
Not a bad one across the net from McEnroe. Martina.
Martina had really improved her volley midway through her career. I mean, she loved to attack, but her volley could be great or it could be poor. But she really improved it. She just stayed with a short, simple stroke, and she built up her muscles so it was a strong shot.
3 points to 2. Evert, McEnroe leading. There was an authoritative winner from Johnny Mack. That gives the team of McEnroe and Evert the win, and they are leading 3-0 as mixed doubles will continue when we return to the Omni in Atlanta. We now move ahead in the mixed doubles match. I think think you might recognize those names. Evert, McEnroe, Navratilova, and Connors. Evert, McEnroe, and mixed doubles leading 5-2. Martina serving to Chris in the far court.
And if Chrissy and John win this game, they're going to even up in the evening's play.
Like that.
Well, it was a great point. I mean, everybody was making spectacular shots, and Jimmy just got his lob a little short, and Chrissy nailed it.
Hard to believe she retired in 1989.
Well, the women are planning a senior tour, 1995, a series of tournaments that they also run some women's music concerts in conjunction with the evening, so it'll be a fun evening. There's Johnny Mac's great forehand swinging volley that you can't teach anybody that. He just develops it.
Mac setting up Martina rather easily there. Evert and McEnroe still leading 2-1. They lead 5-2 in this set.
Way out.
Fantastic point all the way around.
Quick hands by Martina, because that's in the most difficult spot. Actually, they were both jammed, and there's Chrissy hitting it down the line. Jimmy decided to poach and got burned.
That gives Evert and McEnroe the set. They win 6-2. They evened up the team score at 8 games apiece.
And this is really a historical moment.
Yeah, we can still win. I can win one. One more.
14,000 fans on their feet. I think they realize what they're witnessing at this point. That last game was, it's almost, you want to see one more. It was exciting, energetic, and showing a lot of the skill that they had in the late 70s and 80s.
Well, and that's Chrissy Evert's greatest shot, her two-handed backhand. And here she's up, and they're all congratulating each other. There's a lot of respect right there on that court, and lots of titles. Lots of money won.
There's more tennis to come, however. We're going to have singles with the men. John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors playing 2 sets as this team competition moves along. Tom Gorman, a former Davis Cup captain, he and Dennis Ralston have teamed up to come up with the Ralston-Gorman Tennis Academy. Here's a look. Wimbledon 1982. McEnroe and Connors, one of the more memorable moments between these two. A thrilling match on one of the most historic venues in sports history.
And look at those rackets, look at the haircuts, look at the body shapes. I think the guys are actually in better shape now than they were then.
7 Grand Slam titles to McEnroe's credit in singles, 9 Grand Slam titles in doubles. Quite an impressive showing. Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe. How many times have we seen these two face off? One more time. 2 sets these two will be playing as the team competition continues. We're all square at 8 points apiece.
You know, in such contrasting styles and personalities, both fiery players, temperamental players. At times they'd have to perhaps create that moment to get themselves really pumped into the match. John would be playing himself into shape in tournaments by playing singles and doubles. He didn't really practice that much. Jimmy did not practice very long, but he practiced very hard. He would go out and practice for about an hour to an hour and a half, but it was the hardest practice that anybody had ever watched. And he felt, you know, you just put in an hour and a half, that's all you have to do. And he did it the right way.
In the latest Tennis Magazine edition, McEnroe was interviewed in a very thorough interview, and a number of things he touched on was Davis Cup and really about the players on today's tour. He says that a lot of them are spoiled, making a lot of money. They're not real concerned about Davis Cup, something he takes to heart. As a former Davis Cup captain, do you think some of the players might be overlooking what the Davis Cup is all about?
Well, it's very discouraging when you're the captain and you invite players to play and they give you various reasons why they are not going to play. You try to understand it, you hear it. You don't. I never really agreed with it, but I could understand because it really came down to the incredible schedules that these players play all year round. I thought Agassi made a great point when he said they ought to play 8 or 9 months a year with tournaments and then take 3 months off like every other sport. That way the players could be fresh and they could really gear their schedule around a certain amount of time. Tennis is year-round, which means if it's year-round, it's career-long. So if you play for 12 years on the tour, you're playing for 12 straight years. And you know what happens is you get a little bit of mental anguish, mental fatigue, you develop injuries, you lose the zest that you normally have, and then your game suffers. And so when Pete Sampras did not go down to Australia in 1993, he said he didn't want to go down because he was just coming off the Lipton. He wanted to get his game into great shape to become #1. Well, you can't fault a guy for that. So he doesn't play Davis Cup. We ended up losing, but he goes on and wins 3 tournaments in the Orient, wins a couple more tournaments, becomes #1. So he fulfills his goal of a tennis player, wanting to be the best player in the world.
Well, John McEnroe says that trying a comeback would require more of a commitment than he's really willing to make, but he's leaving the door open. But he said it's a very, very small crack in that door. Although you got to think that playing in a format like this with 14,000 people looking will definitely get the juices flowing. But he says, though, when he thinks about playing Jimmy Connors, that's the one thing that really gets him fired up and wants to return to competitive tennis. You know, it was a war. He said every time he played Connors, it was a war till the end. And maybe we'll have one here. Maybe these guys will go at it like days gone by.
Well, you can already see that their faces are a little more serious than during that mixed doubles. They'll put on not only their game face, but they're going to be out there competing. Look at that seriousness in Jimmy's face. That's just vintage Connors right there.
They're probably going through flashbacks like many of the people in the stands tonight, back to the '82 Wimbledon, for instance, and reliving some of those glorious moments that really brought tennis out of the country club element and into the streets where a lot of people could enjoy it. And these are probably 2 of the biggest reasons why tennis took off so hugely in the late '70s and '80s.
Well, they had so much raw energy, and they were brash, they were young, and they were great players. And they didn't play by all the rules that everybody had played by for such a long time. And, you know, they went across it a little bit as well. A few rules were probably implemented with Connors and McEnroe in the back of the minds of the rule makers to try to stop some of the behavior. But there was something about the 2 of them when you came out to watch. You knew you were watching great tennis. You're probably waiting for something wild to happen. You didn't want it to happen because sometimes it could get a little uncomfortable, but you knew they were 2 great players.
As we get ready, the 1995 U.S. Healthcare Super Showdown presented by Big B Drugs continues. Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, men's singles, 2 sets. The team competition once again all tied up at 8 points apiece. Connors serving to McEnroe in the near court. First double fault of the singles match on the first point. Already it's gotten tense inside the Omni, has it not? Nice forehand from McEnroe. Connors trailing 0-2, just out of the reach of Connors, excuse me.
They're both in really good shape. They're moving around the court really well. They're not going to hit the ball as hard as they used to, but they're moving really well, and they're anticipating so well. He almost tripped, but he has such great hands, and he actually caught the ball, looked a little bit behind him, slid it back down the line. I think caught Jimmy a little surprised. He hadn't got in quite close enough to the net.
Just another reaction. We've seen thousands upon thousands from Jimmy Connors. Break point for McEnroe.
I know it. Shut up. Get that ball or just play? I'll get it.
Play two. That's what Jimmy's looking for. Jimmy's just going to grind it out. He's going to slide that forehand kind of inside, outside, and then when he has a chance, he'll go deep to McEnroe's forehand.
Still double break point for McEnroe. McEnroe game one. He leads Connors 1-0 as they will play 2 sets.
They were playing in about a 6-inch tunnel on those 2 shots in a row down the line.
You know, we talk about I guess they're retired and out of competitive tennis, but it looks like their skills are still there. If there is one thing, as we look at this point, it doesn't look like anything's lost, but as you age, what leaves you in your tennis game?
Well, 2 things leave you. I think the quickness that you move to the ball, and if you're talking about split seconds, that's really different. The other thing would be the ability to get yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally psyched up for every match when you used to when you're in your early, mid-20s. You just don't do it in your mid-30s or early 40s. You have the occasional moment, but not all the time.
I would have to say the one thing that I'm more interested in than anything else is how McEnroe got that shiner on his eye. I think there's probably a story behind that. As we take a look at it. You ask him, not me, though. That's going to be the catch to that. Jimmy Connors having fun with the crowd. McEnroe getting ready to serve, and the Evert McEnroe team finally has surpassed the Connors Navratilova team. They lead in the big picture 9-8 in the team tennis format. McEnroe got the early break in the first set. Since McEnroe stepped on this court, he has not been shy with his serve.
He's always had the exaggerated turn. Again, I'd mentioned earlier, his feet are parallel to the line. As he starts his motion, he actually shows his back to his opponent, and he gets incredible torque from the shoulders and the knee bend.
Great serve. point apiece. That caught some tape. Give McEnroe the point. His first ace of the match.
Exactly, run to the other side.
Okay, thank you.
3-1. McEnroe with the lead, trying to go up 2 games to love. He's got the service game working for him right now. He looks quite focused. That's how we got the black guy. There we go. For some reason, I don't think that's how it happened. Something tells me it wasn't because of a camera.
You know, over the years, Jimmy Connors' serve has probably been underrated. It certainly isn't very hard, but always so well placed. And the number of percentage, the high percentage of first serves he did was phenomenal. And what was so dangerous was his second shot, the shot right after his serve.
About Jimmy Connors, he has got a lot of records to his name, but one that I think is quite impressive is his 3 U.S. Open championships that he acquired. He's the only man to acquire 3 Open championships on 3 different surfaces, grass, clay, and hard court, which said something about his ability. There are a lot of people in today's tennis that can't play your clay or your hard court, but Connors was able to pick up U.S. Open championships on 3 different surfaces.
Here's a great serve of Connors. It's just a great placement. He gets good knee bend, really accelerates the racket. He gets a nice little split step. As it turned out, he was close enough to the net to get the angle of the racket going down towards the ball.
Game point for Jimmy Connors. When we come back, we will continue with 2 legends of tennis. Stay with us. Welcome back to the U.S. Healthcare Super Showdown presented by Big B Drugs. McEnroe and Connors playing a 2-set match. Right now we're in the first set. McEnroe leading 5 games to 2 and serving for the set. As he now leads 2 points to none.
And we're seeing a great display of serving by John McEnroe. If he's not hitting aces, he's hitting unreturnables, and he's really dominating this set so far.
6 aces to this point for McEnroe. A quick game point.
Yes.
2015.
Jimmy Connors' defense, he just flew across the country today to get here. He was at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, played quite well out there, but decided to come back here and play some tennis for a good cause.
And we're glad that he did, that's for sure.
getting back into this game, trailing now 3-2. In the team picture, McEnroe and Evert leading 13-10 over Connors and Navratilova. As we look at the first serve percentage tonight, McEnroe 88%. Quite the number to Connors 45%.
Well, in team tennis, the crowd is encouraged to participate, even at the expense of the players. Sometimes the comments aren't always the most complimentary.
That lob goes long. That gives McEnroe the first set. 6-2. And the McEnroe-Evert team is now on top by 4 points, 14-10 over Connors and Navratilova.
Well, what Jimmy wants to do is obviously win the second set. But if he doesn't win, he wants to get close because he's got to work his way into perhaps a super tiebreaker,
which would give them the opportunity to actually come back and steal the team championship. Nice winner from Connors.
Well, Connors wins this set, but if it's a smaller margin than what the margin is between the two teams, then the two players continue to play until the team that was ahead, being McEnroe at the moment, wins a game. Then you stop. Connors can catch up. Then you get into a super tiebreaker. And that's where the excitement begins. Jimmy's going for new balls.
He wanted some new tennis balls, and well, he gets them. There are no rules in team tennis, as you just said. Matt kind of liked the soft ones there. Gave him a chance to return a little bit.
Here we go. New balls for the second point of the game. Very interesting.
I've got some new and some old. Has to go up. New old, okay? New.
What happens with new balls is they give you a little more life, a little more power. First use it. Jimmy was hoping to take advantage of that ace. Just missed it.
1 point apiece.
Now he wants a new ball now.
Take that down. Give her the ball.
Just out.
Yeah, this is Jimmy's way of getting back into the match. He's not playing as quickly as he was earlier.
Mac has 11 unforced errors thus far. Connors just picked up his 12th. Quite enough.
And John's approach shot was so low. That's a good thing for people to see. You don't necessarily always have to have deep approach shots, but if it's low down the middle, then it can be to your advantage as well. We'll see which side John chooses here. The other time he had chose the other side. He'll stay here again. Probably likes to play 2 points in a row from the same spot.
back to the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. Dave Neal along with Tom Gorman. The Super Showdown. Great night of tennis. Evert, Navratilova, McEnroe, and Connors. Right now we are in the second set of a 2-set match between John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors. McEnroe capturing.
Sorry, Dave.
McEnroe captured that first set, 6 games to 2.
And that lob by Connors just missed. When John serves into the backhand court, I'd be anxious to see where his back foot is, because it comes very close to touching the center of the service line, which would be a foot fault. It's not a call that linesmen make very often, and it's something that I know John would not be very happy to have.
You were telling me an interesting story of Davis Cup on the road, as those matches can become quite serious about foot faults.
We got called in Paraguay twice on set point. Ken Flack, who lives here in Atlanta, was serving in the tiebreaker. Second serve, first 2 sets, and the guy calls a foot fault. He turns around and waves to the crowd. They give him a standing ovation, and he becomes a hero. Fortunately, Ken and Robert Seguso did win that match, but unfortunately we ended up losing Sunday to Paraguay, and that was about 8 years ago. They're still showing the highlight tapes on the weekends of that match.
3-2, McEnroe leading, serving to Connors. Connors in the near court. Connors with a 1-game-to-love advantage in the second set, and served just a little wide. Serve called out, sets up a game point.
Okay, this is where the guessing game begins. Jimmy's going to try to figure out which corner Mac's is going to go for, and Mac's percentage is so high that I think Jimmy'd be well off really guessing on this one.
That is an impressive serve. 1 game apiece in the second set. Jimmy Connors hung it up from the regular tour on 1989 after capturing 109 singles victories.
And he's developing a senior tour that has been going on for about a year and a half. Bjorn Borg is playing it, Jose Luis Clerc, Roscoe Tanner, Johan Creek, Gene and Sandy Mayer, Harold Solomon, Eddie Dibbs, McEnroe and Ivan Lendl will become eligible pretty soon. So they're really trying to get close to what golf has got to in the seniors. We aren't quite the same sport in that our pro-ams aren't set up as well as the golf courses can handle a lot more players, and maybe the opportunity for a golfer to go out and actually win a hole from Lee Trevino, where it's a little more difficult for a club player to win a game or a set from these guys.
A point. That backhand goes a little wide. Gives Connors a 2-1 lead. McEnroe hung up his shoes from the regular tour in 1991. Picked up a win in that year in Chicago. He finished with 77 career singles titles. Hangs out now in Cove Neck, New York.
That's a good serve. Probably the better place to hit to John is to jam him. Because anything that John can get the hand out to, about 3 feet away from his body is where he's most dangerous. Just like that.
Nice return. 3-2, Connors leading.
And John's still using a racket that he's used for about 10 years now. It's a very soft racket, very flexible, plays more in the vein of an old wood racket. he refused or just found it too difficult for him to go to the real stiff graphite type rackets.
Goes a little wide, brings up a game point once again.
Well, John rolled that forehand really well and just got it just far enough out of Jimmy's reach that it forced him to miss that volley. That was a big point, as is this one.
Switches sides. Usually he was in the deuce court. Now he's back to the ad court to return this serve. Of course, it's his option. Nice point from McEnroe. Set up Connors extremely well. McEnroe now leads 2-1 over Jimmy Connors. McEnroe captures the first set 6-2, and he now leads in the second set 2-1 in this 2-set match between two great legends.
Players aren't going to get wrapped up in the nostalgia while they're playing. I think it's a reflection afterwards.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that they, coming into this, realized what it was and what these people came to see?
I don't think so. I don't think until they actually walked on the court during that introduction. I think Chrissy and Martina mentioned it in their feelings about their rivalry as they played. At the time, they don't sense it, but later on, they look back and say, this was incredible. You think of what all four of these players have accomplished, how they accomplished it, in what manner, where they did it, under what circumstances, and I guess I would defy anybody to try to put together, the same situation with 4 other players to match what we were able to accomplish tonight.
Called long. I guess it would be like trying to put together another dream team one in the NBA. It just won't happen.
It won't happen. And the current players, they're all in their 23, 24, 25. The Couriers, Agassi, Sampras, Agassi, Chang. And right now they don't understand what they're building on. And I think in about 3 years, a couple rivalries will have developed in the next 3 years, and then people are going to start talking about those players perhaps in the vein of a Connors McEnroe, perhaps just below them, and in that same area. Right now, those guys have no clue as to what they're doing out there in regards to the game of tennis, the history of the game.
Nice shot from McEnroe, and I think McEnroe has elaborated on that, about the people need to realize, the players of today realize what tennis is about, and bring the people back to the game.
Well, here's vintage McEnroe. He's got that nice touch lob. Jimmy had committed, and again, I repeat, those soft hands, the softest hands in the game. But on the other hand, you can't expect the players to be feeling, because they're out trying to win the match. They're trying to beat the other guy's brains in and be #1. They aren't concerned about history now or nostalgia.
Well, we are, and that's why we're here.
That's right, and I'm loving it.
Martina and Chrissy played. Martina picked up the 1-set exhibition, 6-2. Then we had mixed doubles that Chris Evert and John McEnroe picked up. Here we are in the second set of the men's exhibition between Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe.
Jimmy's using the whole court now.
Connors trying to run McEnroe right out of the Omni. Mac just said, forget this, I'm putting it in the net. long, 1 point apiece. In game 5, McEnroe leading 3-1. The team picture looks like this: McEnroe and Evert 17, Connors and Navratilova 11.
Well, that's what Jimmy's going to have to do to get back in the match. He's got to be a little more aggressive. I think he's got to take some chances, come up to net, even though that's not his most natural game. I think he's going to have to put a little pressure on John, because he certainly isn't winning enough points on just the baseline.
Connors would probably like to see this go 5 sets, as throughout his career rallied from deficits to win 5-set matches. Well, tonight he's just not going to have that opportunity, as they're only playing 2 sets. Serve a little long. Game point for Connors. It goes long. Game goes to Connors. He's back in it, trailing 2-3. When we come back, we will continue second set action with Connors and McEnroe. Welcome back to the Omni. John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, second set action, 2-set exhibition. McEnroe leading 3-2, and he is serving in the far court to Jimmy Connors. Oh, what a fantastic shot. Connors just in self-defense on the return of serve since Max sprawling.
There it is. Good roll by Mac, and Jimmy likes it.
His self-defense tactics. Great serve. Fourth ace of this set. 10th on the night. That could have very easily been another one.
He's really served well the entire match, and I think that's the difference in this match tonight.
As I said earlier, from the second he walked on this court, he came out here to serve. Just a little deep. He's mixing up his serves extremely well.
Yes, go ahead. 40-15.
Oh, that could be a little discussion. It's not a smile on Jimmy's face.
Connors thought that was a little wide, but not to be. Game point for McEnroe as he leads 3-1 in game 6. Still a fantastic shot by Connors.
Oh, we don't teach that at our tennis academy. That swinging forehand volley.
On the run.
Holy cow. What a shot.
Don't do a lot of those in practice session, do you?
No, that's not one of our drills.
Second serve for McEnroe. McEnroe picks up the win. He now leads 4-2 over Connors.
Ball's down. There you go. Turn this way. Turn this way.
McEnroe is first in career titles with 148. That includes singles and doubles. Connors is second with a total of 128 championships to his credit.
Well, the angles that these players hit really kind of show the tennis public how the game used to be played. I hate to say it that way because these guys are not out of the power vintage. They're more out of a combination of power and finesse.
Service from Connors. He leads 2-0. As we see a miraculous comeback, it looks as though the McEnroe Evert team will take the team title. They lead 18-12 at this point. Even though Connors hit that in the net, it looks as though his game has certainly picked up in the last 5 or 6 games, like he's found a rhythm almost.
Well, look where John's standing. He's about 6 feet behind the baseline. And you're right, about the last game and a half, Jimmy seems to be hitting more of his balls either standing on the baseline or just inside. Max, dropping back a little bit. He's being forced back, but, will take quite a comeback.
Vintage Mac. McEnroe showing a little agility.
Very good athlete, John. I think he had the feel for a couple other sports that had not been tennis.
That game goes to Jimmy Connors. He now trails 4-3 to John McEnroe. He leads 4 games to 3 in the second set. He captured the first set 6-2. Connors in the far court. Play from both players.
Over the years, if Jimmy had one weakness, it was that short forehand volley, or ground stroke rather, and he never changed it, even though his grip's pretty exaggerated for that shot, because his style was that he has the game that got him to where he was, and he's not going to be changing. But that was the one shot that was probably the most obvious, although with his great record, it wasn't that obvious. Oh, yes. What a beautiful return that set up that open court two-handed backhand. Drew John way off court. He's 2 steps on the other side, the double sideline, and then nothing but blue.
Outside of being a competitor, McEnroe said that Connors is one of the best return of servers I've ever faced.
And Jimmy said a little short on the lob.
Tennis rules again here, so we're going by the point system as opposed to the normal 15, 30, 40 scoring. McEnroe leading 2-1 in this particular game.
Oh, Jimmy doesn't like that.
Maybe that I should take that for good. Your call? Okay, I will.
Well, looking at it again, it looked like it might have been a little wide. We're lucky.
Still close.
We get to see it in slow motion.
Game goes to McEnroe. Connors can't believe he's been shafted twice.
Well, I think he actually hit the spot, the identical spot.
5-3 McEnroe with the lead in the second set. This is only a 2-set exhibition.
What?
McEnroe can close out here with a break of Connors as we enter game number 9 between these two. The team score stands now at 19-13. McEnroe and Evert beating up on Connors and Navratilova. That will sail wide. Once again, I think it's important to realize that this is the first time in history that all 4 of these people have played on the same court at the same time, and they're probably the 4 greatest names in tennis, arguably the 4 greatest names in tennis.
And that mixed doubles match, you know, you could tell at the end the fans' appreciation and the good doubles that was played, and the great camaraderie the 4 of them have now.
Fans here certainly got their money's worth. 14,000 of them showed up tonight at the Omni in Atlanta. Give the point to Jimmy Connors.
Anything goes tonight. Well, John tried a little drop shot, a little short on the lob, and Jimmy says, why use the racket?
Some controversy about the header there, but they're going to continue to play at 1 point apiece. Nice serving volley from Connors.
15-30. I can't take that point in good conscience. Really. 30-15, that was a gimme. Can't win on that. I'll win a winner. Winner doesn't.
Oh, he missed it.
He hit it hard, though.
Jimmy is getting a big laugh over it. John's checking the net. Net's definitely high.
30-15.
He didn't swing hard enough. That was the problem.
Yeah, Jimmy liked that.
Another bad hair day.
Connors trying to lay, maybe hoping McEnroe will cramp up to try to get back into this match. He trails. Connors trails 5-3.
Let's go take a look at this. I want to see this girl that said that.
They banter about each other's hair.
Take your jacket off.
John Mack asking for maybe a little show from.
I think he's
I don't know. I'm not going to complain. I like your style. Keep going.
Back to action game. Can't get the job done. 3-2. Connors still has the opportunity to pick up his 4th game of this set. catches McEnroe off guard, and it worked. Connors picks up the game. He trails now 5-4 in the second set. We will be back to the Omni in just a moment for the conclusion of this fantastic showdown. Mac not taking much time to get into the action. TV timeouts here have, I guess, got these guys a little delayed. They seem to be in a hurry. There was a post-match party, I'm sure, that they will probably both attend.
There's that look. Jimmy's going to give him the point.
Show me the mark. Come on.
Great serve right down the middle. Just catches the edge. Look at those lips.
I think he wanted that serve to be in. Well, according to Jimmy Connors, it was. 6 pieces. Set. Has 12 aces in the match. What an impressive number for somebody who hasn't played a lot of tennis recently. And he's been hitting these serves with a lot of authority, mixing them up. Really hitting the form.
I saw John briefly in the locker room just before, and then, he had a great look on his face, one of wanting to be here, wanting to play, and the excitement of the evening.
Another great serve. Sails out. Connors picks up the point. McEnroe serving for the match. He leads 5-4 in the second set in this 2-set exhibition. Sails out, 2 points apiece. What are your thoughts about tonight? What you expected?
Well, I think it shows right there, Chrissy and Martina watching, coming out and watching the guys finish off. Yeah, more than my expectations of what was going to happen tonight.
And we've seen some great points like that. Just kind of brings back, and you start flashing back to some of the great matches that all 4 of these have really played over the years.
And this shot right here is so reminiscent of hundreds of shots you saw Jimmy hit in his career. Exact shot. Now he's going to be in the position to break, and even at 5-all. Jimmy is the perfect example of never, ever giving up.
Quit in these guys' games.
And here we are at match point and break point for Jimmy. Match point for John. This is the uniqueness of the team tennis scoring. John gets so close to the net. Look at those hands. Just collapses.
His preparation for the volley is amazing.
I think the crowd wants more tennis. The New York crowd.
Did you say match point?
One of the great events in tennis history. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Tennis history. I'm going to be bold. Put my stamp on this thing.
Sure you want that side?
It doesn't matter. You want me to take this side?
Okay, he's going to the other side. Jimmy changed his mind. Never saw this kind of banter between them when they were really playing in the Grand Slams. That's the beauty of what you're seeing. That's the respect that they feel towards each other over the years.
Game point. Set point, match point. A lot of points at stake here.
And break point, so all riding on a second serve.
Gets the break from McEnroe and evens the second set at 5 games apiece. And now we head for the tiebreaker.
13-point tiebreaker. And if Jimmy wins this, I'm sorry, a 9-point tiebreaker, if Jimmy wins this game, then he will continue until he evens up the team score, or until John wins the game and stops the person that's behind, and then they will eventually win. So I hope I explained that properly.
7 out of 9.
Players will be changing sides after 4 points.
1 to 12 wins, right? I don't believe both of you.
That's out.
Connors leading 1-0. Quite a rally for Jimmy. Looked like he was out of this thing. And
John's just learning it's a 9-point tiebreaker.
What game are we playing? I mean, this is...
which I'm sure throws off his whole strategy.
What are we playing? 9 points.
Let's keep it up on the rules.
McEnroe just finding out what he's playing right now, and it's the 9-point tiebreak.
It's 1 point all. Now McEnroe will serve 2 serves, and then they'll change sides. Connors will serve 2 serves, and then if needed, McEnroe will have the final 3 serves.
Earlier tonight, Martina knocked off Chris in their 1-set exhibition, 6-2. Then in the doubles, it was the team of Evert and McEnroe winning 6-2 over Connors and Navratilova. And here we stand 5-5 in the second set. This 2-set exhibition. Fantastic winner from Connors.
That's a great forehand that Jimmy hit. He got lucky. Mac hit a volley that hit the tape and bounced up, but it gave Jimmy an opportunity, but he still had to make it. Watch how he gets prepared. He is ready for that ball and then really gets that racket head accelerating.
Connors' 8th winner of the second set.
They're going to change sides, 2 points all. Jimmy's not happy with the call on that serve.
Switch, Mac. Fucking unbelievable.
Mac not smiling right now.
No, he certainly doesn't want to get into the situation where he's got to start winning games just to break Connors' comeback here. I think he wants to end it right here.
We're tied at 2 apiece. In the second set, McEnroe won the first set 6-2 over Jimmy. Hit by McEnroe. Connors at 42 years old, still running around like he's 25 back there on the baseline.
He puts a lot of pride into staying in great shape. He works, I think, his bike. He works a Stairmaster. He works a treadmill, as well as playing lots of tennis. I think I heard Jimmy say midway through that round, I'm getting tired.
So just comment on his condition. He keels over on me.
Well, it's all relative. He arrived at 6 o'clock this evening from California, so perhaps just a little jet lag is setting in.
4-2, Connors with the lead in this tiebreak, this 9-point tiebreak in the second set of their 2-set exhibition. Looks like Mac might be losing a little concentration at this point.
No, I think the umpire, that should be stated as the set. I believe that was 5-2 for McEnroe. So Connors wins the game. His team wins a game, and now they will play the number of games up until it gets even, or McEnroe wins one game, stops Connors' team coming back. Now, if they tie, if Connors wins 3 games in a row, then they're going to play another super tiebreaker.
Let's make some noise.
Folks, wanted more tennis?
Got it.
13-point tie.
Until John McEnroe wins again, or Mr. Connors ties the total game score. Let's make some noise for these two great champions.
The overall picture looks like this. Evert McEnroe with 19 points. Navratilova and Connors with 16. Now it looks as though McEnroe's going to have to come up with a one-game victory somewhere along the line, or we'll just keep playing until Connors ties this thing up.
That's right. So Jimmy's goal now is he has to win 3 games in a row. All McEnroe has to do is win one of the next 3 games, and then the McEnroe-Evert team will win. If we get to 19 all, another super tiebreaker.
This one goes to 13 points. I'm sure John will love to hear that news. 6-5, Connors leading in the second set over John McEnroe. And that forehand was in. That gives McEnroe a 1-0 lead in game 12.
Oh, lovely.
Hands of a surgeon with the net.
Another ace.
Fantastic serve. Catches the line down the middle. 3-0 sets up a match point for McEnroe. And that will do it. John McEnroe wins the overtime game to help his team beat Jimmy Connors and Martina Navratilova. So McEnroe and Evert are your winners in this team tennis format. And what a fantastic exhibition it has been at the Omni in Atlanta, the U.S. Healthcare Super Showdown presented by Big B Drugs. And Tom, some final thoughts on what we witnessed here tonight.
Well, a great evening, and when somebody said earlier, hey, maybe they'll take this on tour, it's not such a bad idea. Maybe a 16-city tour through the year.
Absolutely fantastic tennis. Martina Navratilova beats Chris Evert 6-2 in the first match. The doubles went 6-2 to McEnroe and Evert. And in the 2-set exhibition between the men, it was McEnroe beating Jimmy Connors. A fantastic night of tennis, and historical night of tennis for the greatest names in tennis history tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. For Tom Gorman, I'm Dave Neal. So long and good night, everybody.